Dallas Air Force Base in Texas. Hear that sound?
Look at that, man. Let me look back. Look.
Positive brake, gear comes up. Now watch this combat takeoff. You can tell by the sound of the aircraft up there, he's come out of what we call blower or afterburner. He's reached 8,000 feet. Now he'll start descending for his first pass, which will be a configured pass where he's set up for slow flight. And that is the wings extended out perpendicular to the fuselage as you see them right now. Wingtip to wingtip right now is 137 feet, but once it folds those wings back towards the fuselage, that wingtip wingspan comes down to 79 feet. Ford, General Electric, and 101 engines, putting out 30,000 pounds of thrust with afterburner each. Maximum takeoff weight of the B-1B is almost 500,000 or 500,000 pounds. It is a supersonic aircraft. The first production B-1 flew back in 1984. First B-1B was delivered at Dallas Air Force Base, where this aircraft is from, in June of 1985. And initial operational capability was achieved in 1986. And the final B-1B was delivered May of 1998. B-1B holds almost 50 world records for speed, payload, range, and time of climb in this class. Incidentally, the B-1 was first used in combat in support of operations against Iraq during Operation Desert Fox in December of 1998. In 1999, 6 B-1s were used in Operation Allied Force, delivering more than 20% of the total ordnance, while flying less than 2% of the sorties. During the first 6 months of Operation Enduring Freedom, 8 B-1s dropped nearly 40% of the total tonnage delivered by coalition forces. Over your left shoulder now, slowing it down and set up for its first pass, like I said. B-1B lifted the wing body configuration and the variable geometry wings, coupled with the turbofan afterburning engines, provided by the long range, maneuverability, high speed, while enhancing survivability. Forward wing segments, like you see right now, are used for takeoff, landings, air refueling, and some high altitude weapon planes. Aft wing tube settings, main combat configuration, are typically used during high subsonic and supersonic flight. Flying today is B-1B, is Major Jim Corrigan from New York, New York. Captain Mark Tyler from Grand Island, Nebraska. Lieutenant Colonel Brian Witkowski from Littleton, Colorado. Major Brendan Wigand from Sandy, Utah. Here we are in the wing spread situation. B-1B Bone just completed its 10,000th combat mission.
Wow.
If we had moisture in the air, I don't think we have enough to do that. Might see what we call vapes or vapors forming a cone around the airplane. But we'll just have to wait to see. It happens at high speeds. It takes about 3 minutes to get those wings folded back and the fuel transferred. And then we'll be set for the high-speed pass. And that will be followed by a third pass coming to show center, lighting the afterburners back on the stick and climbing unrestricted to 15,000 feet in the B-1B Bone from Dyess Air Force Base.
Well, I can't wait to see.
Afterburner is, fuel is pumped into the aft end of the engine and ignited, providing a lot more thrust and power. And you can normally tell when the airplane goes into burner or afterburner because just prior to it you can see some dark smoke, but not really dark smoke, but some tan smoke coming out of the engines. And once that smoke disappears, you'll know that the aircraft commander has pushed the throttles up to the combat position and gone afterburners. From your left, from Dyess, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, the Bone. This speed, he's going to take about a 4.5 mile arc to get back around. And then he'll approach the airfield and show center, light the burners back on the stick, and climb. This airplane has a stick instead of a control wheel like a lot of military transport aircraft do, but the C-17 is configured the same way with a stick and not a control wheel. All right, you can see him out there at about the 3 mile mark, building airspeed up. Turning inbound now. Watch for that tan-colored smoke. When it disappears, you know the burners have been lit. At show center, hard back on the stick. Watch him all the way through the climb. All right, you can see that smoke. Now watch it disappear, though. That will be the indication. Right now, the burners are lit, and we're ready to go unrestricted to 15,000 feet in the Bone. B-1B Lancer from Dyess Air Force Base. Once again, up there and bringing it all the way home, Major Jim Corrigan, Captain Mark Tyler, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Witkowski, and Major Brendan White. Thank you, gentlemen, for bringing the bone. The Joint Base McGuire-Dix-Lakehurst. All right, we're set up. Let me ask our air boss if we're going to recover him before we start driving in the C-17 for the parachute drop. Going to recover him first, and then we'll be ready for our parachute drop. I want to warn you, though, that there is a 10-knot limit on the static line parachute. Right now, it's about 7 to 8 knots out of the drop zone. We were talking to them, but we hope that it will keep down so we can do the static line drop. But if it goes above 10 knots, we will not be able to accomplish that. See, our B-1B Lancer now has those wings extended back out to the slow speed and landing configuration as he flies a downwind to runway 24 here at Joint Base MDL. C-17 and the Army static line parachute drop up next. That'll be followed by the Super Hornet and the Legacy flight, Navy Legacy flight. Raiders aerobatic team will be on board, and then it will be time for the Thunderbirds. As we set up for that parachute drop, let me tell you exactly how the scenario goes aboard the airplane. The C-17 Glowmaster 3 today is being flown by the 437th Airlift Wing of South Carolina Air National Guard. And his cargo today, 16 paratroopers from the 404th Civil Affairs Battalion Airborne of the United States Army Reserve stationed right here at Fort Dix. 404th is commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Teresa Wolfgang. The drop zone is located out in front and a little bit to your right along our right runway out there. The aircraft that's going to fly towards us will be doing so in a single pass at about 130 knots at an altitude of 1,000 feet. Now, the jumpers on board, 16 of them, are rigged with MC-1B parachutes, and each jumper is equipped with a combat-rigged rucksack. They will be lowering that to the ground on a rope prior to touching the ground themselves. This allows for some weight reduction as they hit the ground after their drop. About 6 minutes out, the jump masters, Master Sergeant Patrick Gora in the left door, Major Lieutenant Batschinger in the left door will begin their jump commands inside of the aircraft. Jumpers will be exiting from both the left door and the right door. Jump master is hooked up with a microphone. He can transmit his commands while in flight. On the command of get ready, the jumpers unhook their seat belts and unsnap their static line snap hooks from the top carrying handle of their reserve parachutes where it's stowed. Then on the command, outboard personnel stand up. The jumpers sitting in the outboard seats stand up. And on the command of inboard personnel, stand up. The jumpers sitting in the inboard seats will stand up. The jumpers begin to merge into a single line and move towards the exit door. And on the command hookup, each jumper attaches his static line snap hook to the anchor line cable and takes a 2-finger bite in the static line. And on the command check static lines, each jumper checks the bite to the static line to make sure